10 ways you say the N-word without saying the N-word. So already this doesn't make any sense. If you're gonna say the N-word, then you're saying the N-word, okay? It's not that you can say something else that means the N-word.
You keep driving, you black spear chucker piece of shit!
African American.
The reason it's literally called the N-word is because it's kind of an irreplaceable word. It's the word that when you say it, there's kind of no confusion what you're saying. So I feel like anyone who's gonna use that word is gonna use that word. They don't need this video to give them suggestions on what words to use. But obviously her intention is like, when you're saying these words, you're basically saying the N-word. Let's just watch.
10 ways you say the N-word without saying the N-word. If you use any of these terms or phrases in reference to black people, you are just as racist as the person that actually uses the N-word.
I feel like that's not even true, and I feel like there's no way you can convince yourself of that at all. Also, I love the dramatic walk into frame. Let me take my heroic step forward before spewing my slop. Yo, what's up, guys? It's like... Chris Tyson. I've been expecting you. Hella dramatic for an Instagram reel, bro. You don't have aura. I feel like she doesn't even believe what she's saying. Like, there's no way she's about to say words that if someone said them in public, she would be as outraged as if they said the actual N-word. I just don't believe that.
Here are the words. Thug. Ghetto.
I listen to Young Thug. This isn't fair at all.
You know, I've had my own share of run-ins with n***s. Matter of fact, it's what led me to the organization. They're taking over. Hell, it's all you see on TV anymore. They're selling soap, selling toothpaste, selling automobiles. Everywhere you look, it's
What if I call a white person a thug? Am I being racist against black people by calling the white person a thug? Also, don't people actually do the thug shaker dance? Like, isn't that supposed to be a meme? It's actually a queer positive meme because it's inclusive to the LGBT community. The thug shaker is actually very popular in that community. I'm pretty sure they love it a lot.
Welfare queen.
Welfare queen. That's a new one. I've never heard of that one. Welfare queen. That one actually is kind of bad. Like, it's so creative that I think the person who says that might actually have used the N-word so many times it's no longer interesting. Welfare queen. That one's kind of crazy.
Lazy. Race.
That's just retarded. Lazy? I can't say lazy. I can't use the word lazy to refer to a human being. Dude, I'm fucking lazy. Should I just call myself the N-word instead? Is that what you want?
My nigga.
This is the problem, is that you're muddying the water so much that when people are actually being racist and hating people based on their skin color, people are less likely to acknowledge that that's actually what's happening, because in order to acknowledge it, they would have to use the word racist to describe it. The same word that lobotomites like this use to describe the word lazy. Yo, bro, do you want to go to the N-word river? I'm sorry, the lazy river? Like, what? What are we talking about here?
Spader, race grifter, threatening, angry, dangerous. Or
don't use the word dangerous about a black person ever. Even if he's charging at you with a knife and or gun, bro, we don't want to call him, you know, we just don't know if they're dangerous. Maybe it's a surprise and you're actually being gifted the knife or the gun. That's stupid. If someone's threatening or dangerous, they're threatening and dangerous, okay? It's really that simple. It's literally that case if anyone is approaching you with a weapon or they're just being threatening and dangerous. If they're being that thing, then call them that thing. This is the thing that I've noticed, is that people are actually so scared to appear hateful or, you know, bigoted that they ignore their kind of common sense or intuition because they might think it's like prejudice or something. Like, look, bro, like, listen to your gut, okay? Someone's pointing a gun at you. Fair to assume they're gonna hurt you, okay? You're not gonna be racist for assuming they're gonna hurt you.
you say that we're playing the victim or we are a diversity hire. What you actually mean to say is...
Isn't this whole video like playing the victim, though? Isn't this whole video complaining about words that can be circumstantially completely appropriate and then equating them to a word used to dehumanize an entire group of people for hundreds of years? Like, isn't that definitionally playing the victim? Like, getting upset at words that actually aren't really harmful and in a lot of circumstances are useful and accurate for the sole purpose of, I think, probably getting followers on social media and likely grifting. It's just the thing she gets mad about is grifting. It's likely grifting, to be honest with you.
Just stop it. If you say these words or phrases, you are calling us the N-word.
I feel like that's not true, though. Actually, I know that's not true. Actually, I'm 1,000% that's not true. You want to know how I know it's not the same as the N-word? Because it's literally not the same as the N-word. Like, it's literally different.
If you say these ignorant racist terms or phrases around your children, you're also teaching your children to be racist just like you. So I have good news.
Well, I don't have children, so does that give me a... No, I'm kidding. But I feel like, again, none of this stuff is actually... I mean, some of it is bad, like welfare queen is pretty bad. But, like, when we're talking about, like, threatening, angry, thug, like... you know, those can be accurate in a lot of cases. And I feel like when you're teaching your kids what these words mean, you shouldn't not teach them what those words mean because, it can be seen as hurtful or something.
Here's the bad news. You're not as non-racist as you thought you were, and you're certainly not anti-racist. Here's the good news. You can unlearn all the racist crap you've been taught and reject white supremacist ideologies that you've believed for your entire life.
That's sort of the problem, I think, with content like this, is that when you tie it back to, like, white supremacy, it kind of absolves people that use the exact same words you just complained about of any wrongdoing if they're not white. Like, if Asian people, for example, were saying this shit about black people, are they white supremacists? Well, no, they just don't like, you know what I mean? It's like, just because you don't like black people doesn't mean that you love white people. They could hate white people just as much, you know? I think at the end of the day, it's kind of useless and definitely doesn't benefit your life at all if you want to view it just from that lens of, like, how does this benefit me? To be racist, like, it just kind of fucks your life up. So don't do that. And also, it's mean, it's evil. Don't do it. It's not necessary. It's unfair to judge groups of people based on certain things that people do within that group. Actually, I take that back. No, there's sometimes instances where that's totally fine, like furries and stuff like that, because being furry is like a choice. But yeah, overall, I think you get the idea, but yeah, this video was just so brain dead. I wanted to come on here and talk about it. And Asperger's, do me a favor, okay? For this video, it's kind of short already, but send me like another clip that's like this that I could add to the video to make it longer.
7 ways to know you are racist.
Okay, first of all, what an insane video concept. Second of all, I'm gonna steal this bit from Shane Gillis, but racism isn't like a either you have it or you don't have it thing, okay? It comes and goes. In traffic, you can be racist. In gaming lobbies, you can be racist. Meanwhile, in every other aspect of your life, 24/7, you're not a problem, okay? Listen, racism flares up, it comes and goes. It's not like you're just racist always, You can lose it, you can get it. It's kind of like the common cold.
This list is not exhaustive by any means. I could do a list of 101 ways, but then the video would be too long.
Hold on a second. I just noticed she's not even talking. She did a voiceover. So does she just like... oh my god, she actually does. She just stands here silent the entire time, listening to her own fucking voice.
I could do a list of 101 ways, but then the video would be too long. Just know, if you believe any of the things listed, or you've...
Bro, why she also look like the Onceler? Like, she dressed up like that Lorax character. This green jacket, this got some like Dr. Seuss energy to it.
Met them before, you absolutely have racist beliefs and racial biases that you need to unlearn immediately.
Immediately. I hear immediately. Evacuate the building immediately. It's burning down. Stop being racist immediately. Bro, let's be honest, okay? Low-key, I get what you're trying to do. You're fighting racism. But it isn't the sort of thing where if someone's racist, you can just, like, knock it out of them in one fucking punch. Like, you gotta, like, digest the food a little bit. You go back to the toilet every few months and you're excreting different kind of quantities of racism. It's not, like, an immediately thing. I feel like if you want someone to stop being racist, you kind of gotta like give them some time, because she kind of mentioned like, oh, you got these biases and beliefs, and like a bias that you formed over your whole life. I don't know if it's just gonna be one TikTok that's gonna cure it.
There is a clear and definite distinction between who has benefited from centuries of systemic racism and anti-black racism versus who has been harmed by it the most. If you are unable to acknowledge that, well, then you are absolutely unequivocally racist, and you should really work on fixing that.
I feel like that's not true though. Like, isn't the whole point of racism that you don't like a certain group or a person because they belong to that group? I don't think it's like, do you share the same view of the systems and how they work in this country? Like, I just don't think that's how that works. People always like to tie it back to the whole systemic thing and be like, well, there's the systemic issue of racism, and there are these boxes that the country checks off, and therefore it's racist, and if you don't acknowledge it, then you're racist too. I feel like that's just not true, Like, what about that would make you a hateful person, I just don't see it. Maybe I just don't see the vision. Maybe I will after this video. Also, I'm just looking at this thing in the background. Is this like flipped? Is the camera flipped? Because if it is, this legit just says porn.
You think that talking about racism is racism. Newsflash, talking about the problem is not the problem.
No, but complaining all the time about a certain issue is pretty annoying, I'm gonna be honest. Okay, I agree with her that talking about racism isn't racism. Like, I don't see how that would even be a misunderstanding that could happen, but it is annoying. Like, people who complain for their existence, irony check, but people who make it like their whole gig to complain about one thing on the internet is just sort of like, I don't know. Even if it's a good thing they're complaining about, it is pretty redundant, right? Like the pedo hunters. I see see those guys, they're doing something good, but I can definitely see the repetitive formula of like, oh, I'm just going after pedophiles and whatever. Like, I can kind of understand why people are like kind of annoyed at people who do the confrontations and stuff, And so at the very least, like that sort of repetitiveness of this content can be off-putting to those people that you might be trying to win over.
Number 2. You think everybody...
Also, what does she even mean? Like, acknowledging racism is the problem? What does that even mean, the problem? A problem? You mean like a problem in general? Yeah, when you say the problem, that makes it sound like it's the biggest problem in the fucking world. Like, it's harming people every single day when they go to get out of bed and the shower won't turn on because it's discriminating against them based on their race. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Everybody can be racist, so there's no point in highlighting which group of people has benefited the most from systemic racism.
And she's not even literally trying to do anything at all here. She's just leaning in. What is the point?
Which group has done the most damage, both historically and...
She's just fucking emoting. She's just emoting. She's like idle animation sonicking.
Versus which group or groups of people have been the most harmed by it. Sounds like a great way for you to avoid personal, social, and generational accountability. How convenient.
Wait a second. Generational accountability? Holy shit, bro. New autism just dropped. Generational accountability. So basically, if you are tied by blood to somebody 100 years ago who did something bad, you need to face generational accountability. Holy fuck, I love that. I love that word so much. That's a great phrase. I'm totally going to add that to my trash can.
Number 3, you think black people talking about racism is what keeps it going, instead of what actually keeps it going, which is the active or passive participation, denial, perpetuation, and complicity of white people who refuse to address this issue, get educated about it, and unlearn the racist ideologies you've been taught and teach your kids to do.
Okay. Hear me out, though. Let's just take your advice for a second. You're just instructing white people to stop being racist. Like, white people stop being racist. Okay, white people stop being racist. Now what? Is racism gone? No, it actually isn't, because there's more than white people in the world who are racist. The Asian people that are racist are still going to be racist. The Mexican people that are racist are still going to be racist. It doesn't actually solve anything. Like, the solution that you're providing here to this problem that seems to be sort of, I don't know, seems kind of histrionic, seems like kind of a grift. Bro, your solution sucks too. Like, it's your TikTok, it's your paradigm. You can just invent whatever solution you want. This is like the best you could come up with. Oh yeah, she also said that talking about racism isn't what keeps it going. Rather, like, racism is what keeps it going. Like, that makes sense. I understand that. But, I think that Morgan Freeman clip that everyone's seen by now where he's asked, like, how do you get rid of racism? And he says, stop talking about it.
How are we going to get rid of racism?
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man. And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man.
Bro, I feel like, obviously I'm biased, but there definitely was something there. Like, he was cooking up. Because from what I understand, the 90s in America were, like, the best times for race relations between people. And I think this was, like, statistically proven or something like that. And obviously there's flaws to this, like, how do you really measure behavior and attitudes objectively? It's tough, right? But, compared to what we have now, which is, like, people who are so divided and hateful or whatever, and, like, protests and shit, like, I don't know. Like, there may have been something to what Morgan Freeman was saying.
Number 4, you think by never receiving or engaging with anti-racism education, never studying systemic racism, never researching anti-black racism, never talking about it, and not listening to or believing black people, you have still somehow magically, miraculously managed to become an expert on anti-black racism and systemic racism.
Well, my question to you is, like, what's the actual tangible difference in someone who is like an anti-racist expert, someone who's did all the studying, all the learning and unlearning, as you put it, right? They truly understand, and by understand, I mean just agree with you as to how the country works and whatever. You hold the exact same views. What is the actual tangible difference in the interaction you'll have with that person from someone who's just like a normal person who's not racist? Is it really that big of a deal? Like, I get that the first guy I mentioned just glazes the fuck out of black people. Is just like, I guess just, is constantly trying to prove how not racist he is, right? But, like, is the person who's not doing that but just isn't racist really falling so short? Doesn't seem like it that big of a deal. I don't know.
Number 5, every time you talk about black people, you talk about crime, Chicago, or riots. If you think that black people commit more crimes than any other group and that we are inherently more violent than any other group, although there is tons of well-documented historical and current facts and information that debunk this myth, you are absolutely racist. Number 6, you are more bothered by Black people talking about the pain, generational trauma, and violence of systemic racism and anti-Black racism than you are about us experiencing the pain.
Yeah, but she's not even talking about like the violence and persecution and the generational trauma. She's talking about the generational trauma. So it's just like this meta inception dog fucking crap. Like, who cares? Like, here's the thing. If this video was just like talking about like, you know, slavery or whatever else you'd like to bring up, you know, go for it. Absolutely. Like, talk your shit, right? But now we're just like, I don't know, like conversation policing. It's sort of weird, right?
Like, you would prefer it if we would just shut up about it already, so you can just be racist in peace. Number 7,
what?
You think your comfort and your feelings are more important than the facts about systemic racism and the pain, trauma, and violence of anti-Black racism. You think that talking about anti-Black racism is divisive, too political, and unprofessional, so no one should ever talk about it, even though millions of Black people are being harmed, killed, marginalized, disenfranchised, and traumatized by it every single day. I could go on, but you get the idea.
Dude, that's a genius marketing strategy. Instead of serving people with your content and winning in the algorithm based on pure merit and entertainment value, just guilt the fuck out of people who watch your content or who don't watch your content, right? Oh, you're just clearly uncomfortable with hearing about the struggles or whatever. So that way, when they're not listening to it, they might think, wait, am I not listening to this because it's dog shit or because I'm uncomfortable with it's like totally like a mind game. That's so smart. I should just do that. If ever you click off the video, I'm just gonna like insinuate something that like you're I don't know, biased or bigoted against me, so that way you watch my content. That's so fucking swag.
It takes a really insensitive, immature, dishonorable, and depraved person to be dismissive, rude, and vicious to people who are speaking out about being the target of abuse, oppression, and racism. Please reconnect with your own humanity so that you can see us as human just like you, and stop causing harm to Black people every day. You're racist.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Just kind of a weird account. Not really sure what the purpose or point is. Just seems like a load of malarkey. But yeah, if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe if you're new. See you guys later.